They lured her into the studio because, yeah, we'll give you a spot on the song. This is going to be big. Oh, we want a feature from you. But actually, we just need you to replace that one line under, ooh. This is an important issue that I feel very passionate about and that I've been following for a couple of years. Money Longs reveals Atlantic Records gave Pitbull timber without her permission and made her redo the chorus because Kesha wasn't able to hit the right note on the song. She claims they refused to pay her, and Kesha's mother was trying to get 2% on the publishing of the song. Money Long is so different because she's an artist who understands that, like, you spend a certain amount of time making music, but a lot of your time as an artist in this era has to be dedicated to creating content. And she was very, very like instrumental during Clubhouse days, guys, during the pandemic. She was one of those artists that was on Clubhouse with her whole team, whole management. She would do sessions where she talking about the industry and giving advice based on what she went through as a songwriter. So I was hearing a lot of her before she really kind of blew up and had her resurgence as her own artist. And so I'm definitely not surprised on how she's been carrying on the conversation now that the spotlight is on her. So it's really, really interesting. So first, this was a video where she said that, me to the president of Atlantic asking me to write soulful songs for non-melanated artists. She said, I don't want your money. I don't care about no Oscar for it. I won't be participating because what Boosie said, get somebody else to do it. So she's saying, I'm not writing no songs for no non-melanated artists.
Specifically Atlantic Records.
Okay, so she said, my intention with these stories is to help change that culture of using Black people behind the scenes, but never out front. It happens all the time. It's not just happening to me. I'm not afraid to speak up. And she's so right. So Timber, the post-chorus and bridge was written by myself and Brianne Isaacs. The track contains a sample, which is why there are so many writers listed in the credits. So the girl who wrote it with her co-writer is also Black.
As in Flo Rida. Oh my God.
Why she recently found out that Flo Rida is her cousin. That's crazy. She's from Florida and Flo Rida is from Florida. Interesting.
This is incredible. I don't know what happened. The song ended up on Pitbull. About 2 weeks before the song gets ready to come out, they hit me up saying, hey, Ben, I'm not gonna say your last name, Ben,
the SVP, Senior Vice President of A&R at another label now, but used to be at Atlantic. Ben called her when they was ready for the song.
Who used to work at Atlantic, calls me and says, hey, we need you to come cut some vocals. What does that mean? In my mind, you need my voice on the song. Cool. They still haven't said anything. So I go, and I'm hearing somebody else's vocals on my song. I'm like, what is this?
She said, I was super excited. I thought this was going to be my big break as an artist. That's how they lead you in.
I'm hearing this part. Ooh. When I wrote it, I said, whoa. Where the woo came from? They're like, oh, well, she couldn't sing it like you. So we had her change it to woo. And now we want you to go in and sing the woo underneath her because your vocals are underneath her on the hook, on the whole song. And so if you don't sing the woo, it's going to sound different. And we need to have the same feel. That's the problem that I have. You want it to feel a certain way, but you want it to look that way, but you want it to feel this way. Nah, player. I didn't get paid, among other things on the business side that just were not handled properly. Not to mention, later on, there's a copyright claim on the song. Said artist's mother was trying to get publishing on the song, and she didn't write it. Not one word. Yeah, song came out. The rest is history. The only reason why I was even in the studio, because Mike Karen bought me flowers and sent me on vacation, because that's the only way that he could get me to show up, because they always do stuff like this, specifically Atlantic Records.
Woo! Atlantic Records put on blast, but we've been talking about Atlantic for years now. So I just, child, when I say I love shit like this is what the fuck I'm talking about. She putting a lot of notes in here while she's talking. So she said, Ben explained they needed me to lay down some vocals to help finish the song. They all left the room after the engineer hit play. On the other side of things, I understand why an artist or label would want the biggest artist feature possible. The problem is when you lie to get me to show up. Oh, we want a feature from you because they think she want to be an artist. But they lured her into the studio because, yeah, we'll give you a spot on the song. This is going to be big. Oh, we want a feature from you. But actually, we just need you to replace that one line under, ooh, but Kesha's going to sing that. If you write a banger, we'll keep you on it. That's what they be telling me, songwriters. If you write a banger, a hit, we'll keep you on it. And sometimes they do stay on it. If no one else can sing it better than you, then we will leave you on it. It's all BS. So she said, There's a company called Sound Exchange that collects royalties for artists. You might have remembered we talked about Sound Exchange a couple weeks ago when we talked about like that producer Swift on Demand coming out and talking about how Cardi never paid him for what he did on her mixtapes. Yeah, Sound Exchange, it collects royalties for artists. They also collect royalties for background singers. Only one artist has ever had Money Long sign background singer paperwork in the studio. And that's Kelly Clarkson. She says Kelly Clarkson is a real one. There's definitely a thing in the industry where it's like you get pushed over by your own. It's like she's saying that there's only one artist that has ever treated me correctly, compensated me correctly as a background vocalist and a writer, and that's Kelly Clarkson, because she gave her the paperwork in the studio, right? Because before you leave that studio, when you collaborated at a high level like that, we could all sit in the studio together like we all sitting right now and do whatever, and we still want to make sure our percentages is right. But at the same time, when you're collabing on a mainstream scale like that, there's a lot of politics and business and unspoken things that happen in the studio that you need to make sure is correct before you leave that session. And so she's saying that is a big deal for her, that in the studio, out of all of the big artists that she has worked with, right? Rihanna, Kelly Clarkson, bitch, everybody. Kelly Clarkson was the only one who said, no, you need to get paid for your work in the studio for your background vocals, even though you're writing for me. And that's sad. It's sad that it only comes from the white artists, and once again, the music business is not perfect at all. But a lot of times you hear shit like this where it's like hip hop and R&B functions business wise and social wise, political wise. They function way differently than pop and Latin and country, because Beyonce doing country has been a big magnifying glass on the country music scene and stuff like that. Whereas like in the country world, they work in the daytime. They be in the studio in the daytime. Where in hip hop and R&B, they be in the studio in the nighttime. So a lot of times they be like a black artist would go to California to collab with the big pop producers, and they be like, damn, y'all wake up early. Like, they're not used to that. So there's a lot of differences into how the industry functions based on like what you do or whatever. So yeah, it sucks that like a lot of artists don't want to pay you for your work in the studio. She said, I used to get a frog in my throat every time this would happen. So I started charging them up front, which you should do. And she can do that because, she's a big songwriter now. So she could charge, you got to pay me $10,000 just to show up, whether I sing or not. You got to pay me just to come, because a lot of songwriters that's not on her level, they get paid too. They get called to come to the studio to work for, your Coil Rays and your bitches who don't write or whatever. But it's not a guarantee that, number one, they're going to even like the song. They're going to even want to put the song out. And bitch, they might change their mind. And a lot of these songwriters not getting paid because you're not getting paid unless the song comes out. So if you're a big songwriter, you could be like Money Long. All right, you want me to show up? That's $10,000. Whether you put the song out or not. That's why, like, these days, it's like, okay, like, if you were a big songwriter, like, for example, Nisha Charles, allegedly, she used to charge, like, $20,000 per song to write a song. So you could make a deal with a songwriter where they'll say, oh, okay, well, I'll give you 3 songs for about, like, let's say $45,000. I'll give you a discount, $5,000 on a song or whatever. Big money, all right? When you're a big songwriter, you could charge big money, but you got to get there first. And it's really, really hard to get there. And that's what Money Long is talking about. So she said, after this song blew up, those managers sued me. Oh my God, claiming I owed them unpaid commissions. I didn't end up winning. So she had to pay management? Okay, so this is the thing. She didn't have proper representation at this time. At this time of her writing Timber, she ain't have no management. I had fired my previous manager for shady business and was now working with a first-time manager. That means a manager that's being a manager. Oh yeah, I want to be a manager, but I don't know shit about the business. So she didn't know how to properly defend me because she was new. She wanted 2%. Oh, Kesha's mother wanted 2%. And she said, I have been offered publishing on songs I didn't write, and I always turn it down. A lot of people get offered publishing and percentages and stuff like that. And that's dope, that she's turning it down. I don't expect anything less of her. If you didn't write a song, you shouldn't have any percentage on it. But there's a lot of people that are not even writers. They don't even make music. Executives got publishing. And they earned it. Like, let's say I'm Money Long's A&R, and my job is to like develop her catalog. It's to be in the studio with her. It's to get her writers and producers and collab. So if that's my primary job, then yes, I should get a percentage on her albums that I A&R, because I'm like an executive producer. I'm really putting it together, or I'm really helping her put it together. So there are executives who do have percentages. And also, if I'm an A&R who's actually successful, I can negotiate. When I go to negotiate for my label, my salary, a lot of A&Rs, they negotiate for percentages up front on my royalties, or whoever I'm coming in. I'm signing to Sony to work with Money Long. I'm going to get 5% off top of her publishing, because I'm an A&R, I'm an executive that's been doing this for 10 years. So that's how the industry works. So there are executives out there who get publishing, and rightfully so. But there are also a lot of people out there who getting publishing who don't deserve it. She said nobody expected me to keep getting back up after being knocked down. I know they hate when I tell y'all what they be doing. I do not care. Stop playing in people's face. I'm crying. It's a whole new team over there now. She's talking about Atlantic Records that was taking advantage of her. But she says, but they're still on the same type of time. Atlantic's still moving shiesty, although they done fired everybody and they have a new team. Because what happens at every company? You have company culture. And they're going to have to do a lot to change that company culture at Atlantic and other labels who function as so. And it's really interesting how Money Long is talking about this because you could say that nowadays she was having her hard time in the industry when she was coming up, but right now Money Long is a industry darling. She has several Grammy nominations. She's won at least one Grammy last year or whatever for her album, and she is a very accomplished songwriter for very very big artists like a Victoria Monet. So she is very well respected in the industry. So I had posted this earlier today on Twitter, and I had said, yo, at Nicki Minaj, this is what I'm talking about, because I love this right here. I love that like Money Long is like being very direct on what she experienced in the industry. She exposed at Atlantic Records. The bitch even saying names, ho. She even calling bitch, Ben, yeah, you used to work at Atlantic, but you work at another. She calling names and all of that, spilling all of the tea. All right? It's real clear as to what's going on. It's real hard to say, like, I would love this from Nicki. Like, this is the type of conversation I want to hear Nicki having, but not really, because it's like Nicki kind of on a whole nother level where it's like, yeah, you cannot say names or whatever. I mean, she be saying names like Desiree or whatever, but it's like, I know you can't be as direct as you want to be or whatever, but I still feel like you could do it in a way where it's like people will listen to you and people will pay attention, because it's like this is making a lot of traction. It's getting a lot of traction on TikTok. It's getting a lot of traction on Twitter, and I'm sure it's getting a lot of traction and being posted on the blogs. And what I find really interesting about Money Long is that, like, once again, she had her hard times, but she's very respected in the industry right now, and she's nominated for several Grammys right now, and she's exposing Atlantic just less than a month before the Grammys is to take place. And so it's really interesting how, like, I wonder how will Money Long be treated in the industry. Will this change anything for her? A lot of people in the comments are like, yeah, you could get blackballed or whatever, but it's like, like, I don't feel like it. Like, I'm not really worried about Money Long, because it's like, I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? So I had saw Brian respond. He's a executive over at Audio Mag. So he said, artists and writers rarely speak up for fear of being ostracized, blackballed, or burning bridges. But if everyone is vocal, then that can't happen. I hope more creatives follow Money's lead here. So some executives are on the, they have like ethics and morals and stuff like that. So they're encouraging artists and stuff to speak out, because like he said, if everyone is speaking out, then they can't no longer take advantage of people. We have to definitely uplift the artists and creatives who are risking whatever it is to speak the truth and stuff like that, because there's a lot of people out there who are suffering in silence and they're struggling and they're not getting paid. It's a lot of people who are making a lot of hit songs right now and they're not getting paid and they're not being treated fairly. So that's something that I'm also passionate about as well. So I like to follow like a lot of songwriter organizations and see like what are songwriters talking about right now. Like what are they go to Congress and they go to Washington DC to the government, to be like, yo, y'all need to, put these laws in place for songwriters and producers. We're not getting paid and stuff like that. They are the least paid and the last to be paid, but they make the biggest contributions to the music that we hear every day. This is an important issue that I feel very passionate about. So and that I've been following for a couple of years. And look, she said when she was talking about the president of Atlantic asking her to writing songs for non-melanated artists, look who's liking the shit. Victoria Monet, bro. Victoria Monet, Connie Diamond in the replies, R&B Radar in the replies. Connie Diamond currently signed to Def Jam or whatever. She a female rapper, but yeah, they going through it. And so it's really interesting the stories that Victoria Monet could tell, but she would have to put Ariana Grande on blast. And I would, if you do a search on Twitter, you see Ariana Grande, Victoria Monet, like it'll be like a lot of discourse on Ariana and how she channels different personalities and characters and stuff like that. And I was reading some of it, but it's just like really interesting how Ariana dead used to be, bro, like, and how she is like today. Like Ariana Grande, like she dead needs to be studied. Like her personality needs to be studied for real. That girl may have some sort of personality disorder, but you see Victoria Monet let that shit slide. You let that shit slide and it paid off, sis. Money Long is the type where she's like, no, you're not gonna have me out here giving white girls like my voice. And Victoria Monet is like, child, I'll do it. Like I don't know. Like, so it's like really interesting. Victoria Monet says that like her and Ariana Grande are really close friends. And I don't know if I believe that or not, but hey, so don't expect any stories on that. Anyway, shout out to everybody coming through for me. I really appreciate you. Shout out to all of the people who liked the video. Thank you so much for spending some time with me.
I cut you right up to put that shit on you, light up the whole damn room. Tell your ex be